The June garden. It is a buzz and full of food. So the garden is getting to that point that every time I come out here I see several things that need to be handled that are getting away from me, like things being trained up on a trellis, which by trained, really all that means is you just put it in a position that it'll grab hold of it and grow. So we got some friends in town I want to introduce you to. For those of you who have been here with me for like years, this isn't a new introduction for you, but we've been just having a good visit. We took the kids to a water park yesterday and just had some summer fun before the chaos of our move really moves in, really settles in. We are moving our stuff, for those of you who are tracking with us. We're moving from Arkansas to South Carolina. The drive is 11 hours. I've had several people ask me that, so it's a long drive. And the logistics of moving a whole farm are definitely pretty intense whenever you're moving animals and machinery and tools and some supplies and all that stuff. So we're cutting down on a lot of things, but moving what's necessary. Obviously our household, our furniture, and all of that entails. Our kids, our pets. Hey, look at Winona. Look at Winona. She stands on her back legs and eats from the trees. I've missed it all at the camera. I'm hoping she'll stand up again. She can do it for like 2 minutes. At one point I videoed her standing on her back legs for like 2 straight minutes eating out of the trees. Look, there she goes. There she goes. She'll walk on her back legs. She's so funny. So the way that we're simplifying the move is that we are actually using pods. It's just the moving service. And the reason why we had looked at different things, of course, we've only ever used U-Hauls moving before. And loading everything up in one day and then needing to unload it when we got there, I was a little concerned because we're having our mobile home moved onto our property and set up. And there are just a lot of moving factors. And my thought is, well, if we can't unpack our house as soon as we get there, what are we going to do with all that stuff if we've got to unload it at a storage facility and then move it again? That's going to just be an added step. So we decided to get some pods. With that service, we were just kind of at the mercy of their availability. Their availability was about a week and a half before we were planning on moving. We're actually going to be packing up. We're going to finish packing up all our stuff and sending it across the country in the pods. So I have 48 days left to actually live here. Like once we don't have beds here, we don't have stuff here, obviously. I'll probably stay at my dad's house to finish up what we need to do at this property to kind of like clean up and get out of the way. But 48 days is not very long. And so it's going to be a really wild and crazy 48 days. So we took yesterday, the 49th day, and went and had a fun day and are having a little bit more fun time. Of course, the kids are enjoying having friends here, and so are we, before we kind of like dive into the craziness. There she goes again. It's hilarious. She's got the whole like woods full of brush, but she's got to get those leaves right out of reach. All right, y'all say hello. Hi. There's Hi. David and Amanda. Nice to see everyone. From Modesto, California. Yep. Yes. On an epic road trip, family vacay. Yes, this is our first like big family vacation, so.
Which is really sad because our kids are like 10 years old. That's awesome.
The youngest one just turned 7. Okay. So Amanda came and visited me 2.5 years ago.
Thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, about 2.5 years ago. From California, and spent some days, so you guys might remember that. She's actually where the original Artie the Artichoke came from. She brought that to me from some of her mom's plants, and she actually brought me a replacement Artie since ours finally lost his battle with the borers. So now I'll have a new Artie I'm going to put in a pot to take with me to South Carolina. Hey guys, what are you doing? Playing? Ben, what you doing, bud?
He doesn't know.
I don't know. Have y'all checked blackberries and strawberries today?
No.
You want to?
Yeah.
This is a tomato plant. It's, let's see, Sweet Scarlet Dwarf that someone brought me in this, I guess it's called a root pouch. And she brought this to my book signing. And I'm thinking I might get some more little containers like that. And right before we move, go cut suckers off of our plants and take them to South Carolina. So it's a long enough growing season that if I take some suckers and reroot them, I should have some fall tomatoes. If I can manage to do that in the midst of all the moving logistics. Yeah. You know,
amidst all the crazy, let's add some more tomatoes.
Exactly. And here, this was my mystery plant that we were trying to figure out what it is. And many of you guessed bee balm, and it would appear that you were correct. It finally bloomed, and this is bee balm. I must have sowed these seeds and just forgot. So Audrey, were you wanting to ask me some questions?
Yeah.
Did you have a list of questions?
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna make a video for your mom's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Of you asking me questions and interview?
Yeah.
You ready to do that?
Yeah.
All right. So one thing, since Amanda last visited here, she has started a YouTube channel. And I've sent you guys there before because it's her white bread recipe that I like to make, homemade bread. So many of you have gone and watched that video. But Miss Audrey is going to ask me some questions and do an interview show, Audrey's interview show. And she has a list of questions, and they're going to make a video of that. And I'll put a link to their channel down below where you guys can find that. Sound good?
Yeah.
The girly goats are over here where the boys were. We traded spots with them because we've had so much rain that the barn next door gets kind of marshy, and you don't want to keep your goats where it's marshy, and we can keep the boys in the small yard and keep them out of that barn, but there's too many girls to do that, so we switched their spots. What do you think? Yeah, she's very feminine. Hey, girly. So, and Gabriel's like, can I have attention, please? Yes, of course. Ma'am. Yeah. Goats are like dogs. And dogs are like dogs. Just want all the attention. You found my back pocket goats.
Yes. Or they found me.
Yeah. So Amanda has Nigerian dwarfs, and she lives in town in Modesto, and so she can only have 2, and she can breed them, but she has to rehome the babies before they're, you know, as soon as they're weaned. When you think of like a dream of like, I know you've talked before about wanting to like do more homesteading on a larger scale. Like, do you think that you'll always stick with goats, or do you think you would go the route of like a dairy cow?
I don't know. Honestly, our family doesn't go through enough milk to kind of like justify a cow.
Yeah.
We've always been in love with the Jersey breed.
Yeah.
I have some experience in handling Jerseys, and they're wonderful. But I just don't know if I need the production of a Jersey cow.
Right.
Honestly, I think it all depends on if and when we get there, what our needs are going to be.
Yeah, that's a good answer. You know, I've been sharing about how excited I am to get a dairy cow, and we are looking at Jerseys. I've looked at some of the other ones, but I also really like the Jersey breed. I like the experience I've had with them. I like the butter fat. But I think I'll always still have some goats. Especially like these girls, they've been with me for like,
oh yeah,
6 years now. I mean, they're my pets. I downsized so much knowing that we were going to be moving so far, and I'm pretty much down to all the adult goats I have, with the exception of Winona and Ruth, and we almost rehomed them and then ended up deciding to keep them. But other than that, they're all just the sentimental ones. Like, these are the pet ones.
Yeah. Much decided I will never not have goats again, because I loved having the Nigerians so much.
Yeah. Hey dude, what's up? No, they do have glorious ears. It is a pretty warm day, so the goats are pretty mellow out here. I'm gonna try to get you guys a good look at this dude. His face has changed so much. Hey, handsome. What's up? Where'd all that color come from? He still kind of has the spot on his face. It's not nearly as noticeable now. I'm curious what he's going to turn out looking like. Don't worry, guys. It's about to cool off. Wait.
What is this accent, young lady?
It's supposed to start raining tomorrow, and every day in the 10-day forecast is rain and thunderstorms, which is just the time of year that it is. But I'm really curious to see how the tomatoes do this year with how wet it is, because that is when we start dealing with blight and stuff like that. But so far everything seems to be okay. All right, I just did my little interview with Miss Audrey. I guess you're gonna have that up on your channel in a couple of days.
Yes, we will have that up.
She had lots of questions.
She did. It was adorable.
But yes, so it was very fun. I've been liking doing my interview shows, and we've actually got to go to, I got to take a kid to a doctor's appointment. So we won't do a full interview, but, so the last time that you came here, March 2019, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
It was your birthday.
Yeah, it was for my 30th birthday.
And lots changed since then, I guess, like in a lot of things. You were already doing your efforts. What is it that you're doing on a 1/5 of an acre right now in Modesto, California?
Well, we have a fenced-in garden area that we did like heavy-duty goat-proof fencing because we do have Nigerian dwarf goats, and because we are in such a small plot, the goats pretty much have full run of the yard.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, we have to goat-proof certain areas. So we goat-proof the garden, we goat-proof the chicken coop. We have 11 chickens. Our city ordinance says that we are allowed to have up to 12 hens, and that we may have up to 2 miniature goats over the age of 4 months. So we can have babies, but they have to be gone before they're 4 months old.
So you take your goats and have them bred at a breeder.
Yes.
Yeah.
They go and they have a sleepover.
Yeah.
And then come back and have babies 5 months later. Let's see. We just recently got into meat rabbits as well.
Yeah.
So we just bred our rabbits for the first time right before coming here. So we're going to be diving into that in the hot weather, so
yeah.
Good luck. We're trying to diversify as much as we can. We've done meat chickens in the backyard, which is a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, we can't raise very many at any given time.
Right.
So we're hoping that doing the meat rabbits will be able to be kind of a longer term, more sustainable.
I think meat rabbits are a good option because they're creating fertilizer that's easier to apply directly to the garden, whereas the meat chickens are probably pretty destructive when you even moving them around in a small space.
Yeah, I can't move them much because, again, I have goats.
Right.
So anything that can be portable has to be goat proof too.
Right.
And that's really difficult. Especially, I mean, our goats, they're small goats, but they're still like 60 pounds a goat, so if they want to get on top of something.
My Nigerian dwarfs were hands down the most mischievous and determined goats to get into stuff. Like, I've never had a full-size goat stand on top of a vehicle, but all of my Nigerian dwarfs somehow at some point ended up on top of a vehicle. Like, they would get out, and that'd be the first thing that they would do, is they would get into something they weren't supposed to. So it was kind of, I don't know if that's the whole, I don't know if it's the whole breed, but that was my experience with them.
Yeah, they are, I don't know, we have 2 goats and they have very different personalities. One of them is very much like, you have to be on her.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, whatever.
Yeah, laid back. So you're milking, you're growing vegetables, raising some meat, getting eggs on a 1/5 of an acre.
Yes, we are.
Which is really, really cool. I know that your tagline that you use, I guess your sign off for your channel is grow where you're planted. And I think that it's really encouraging. And even you're following the city ordinances, I mean, right to the T, like right to the edge of what you're able to do. But I think it's really encouraging. And I know some people live in HOAs and some people have issues where they really can't do anything, but you may be able to do more than you think where you are. I know I did not fully make the most of my classroom period when I was still living in town, and I later wished I had. And I just think of, and it does come to the point for you of expanding. I know that's kind of in your heart to be able to do that at some point. I mean, you'll be able to just hit the ground running, and it's not, I think it's nice to make the mistakes and the learning experiences on that small scale.
Yeah.
So that when you do get into that larger area, you can apply that knowledge. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, learning how to manage even diseases in your animals on a much smaller scale, it's less devastating than, oh, you had to cull an entire giant flock of birds because you were on a larger scale. Yeah. And so it's like, it's still devastating because, yes, it is still like you're losing a number of birds. But you're able to learn that when you're smaller so that it's less of a loss later on.
Yeah, 100%. Turn your waiting room into a classroom. Great example right here. Well, I'm glad you guys are here with us. It's been lovely to have y'all, and
it's been
fun.
great.
Our kids have been
inseparable.
It was funny, the first night they got here, they were coming, and Jeremiah's sister had offered to watch the kids for us to go on a double date. And I was like, we might want to do that later in the week, because I don't, you know, I know their kids are familiar with us through like YouTube, but we'd never actually met in person before. And I was like, well, let's just wait, because I don't want their kids to feel like they got left with a stranger right when they got here. They were here for like 3 minutes, and they're just like gone, and they're all playing in the woods, and then they're coming, they're like, hey Jess, and all this. I was like, double date tonight. Tonight's a good night for it. No problems, and they've had so much fun. One thing that I really enjoy having people visit, and when we visit places, because you guys are from California, and this is such a different region for you. And so like the kids saw fireflies. I guess, was that their first time ever seeing them?
That was their first time ever seeing a firefly.
And they were so thrilled to go out and catch fireflies. And also, being that they grew up in town, it's funny because I've forgotten the things that were new to us when we first moved here from living in a neighborhood, but like catching tons of frogs and like seeing so many critters, that is new whenever you're not used to it. Of course, my kids have gotten used to it, but having your kids here, my kids are interested in the things that are usually kind of, I guess, mundane.
They get to take charge and say, yes, like, we are the experienced hands of it.
Let's show you how to catch frogs and fireflies, whereas they've gotten kind of, it's just commonplace for them, and so it makes it fresh and new to get fresh eyes. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us in the garden this morning. We bless you. Until next time.